So you've spent the last 4 years getting promoted by being the person that can do everything. The slide decks, the stakeholder management, the project plans, all the generalist consulting skills. Now you're getting rejected by people in industry that are half as capable as you are. Here's why. So for starters, the Big Four generally trains generalist consultants, right? They're thrown onto a breadth of projects across industries and you get stuck in and you acquire a range and a breadth of skills over time. Whereas industry is hiring for one specific solution to a problem. It's hiring you to solve a problem in a specific industry, in a specific area. So the skill set required is somewhat different. So for anyone new here, my name is George. I spent 8 years at the Big Four in both London and Sydney before landing a senior industry role in just 5 weeks. On my channel, I release weekly videos that give tips, tricks, and hacks on how to leave the Big Four consulting and transition into a senior industry role. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel for these weekly updates. So I'll just give you a little example here just to paint a picture a bit more clearly. Say you're a manager at the Big Four and you're applying for transformation lead roles. At the Big Four, you've likely done projects across 5 industries, 6 functional areas, you've delivered multi-million-dollar programs. When the hiring manager in the interviews asks you to tell them about a transformation that you personally owned end-to-end, you struggle. And that's because at the Big Four, generally the model is you likely would have had a senior manager above you that would have set the structure and a partner that would have done all the relationship building and relationship management. And so while you would have led the team, you might not necessarily have owned the outcomes end to end. And industry hiring managers sometimes do know that, right? And they do pick up on those things. So it's not that you don't have the experience, you just need to package it up correctly in a way that positions you as the one that actually owned those outcomes. So now that we've spoken about the problem that actually exists, I want to talk a bit about why this problem actually occurs at the Big Four, coming from the Big Four. And a lot of the reason for that is the billing model, right? You're obviously thrown on projects across industries, across geographies. You're doing maybe a PM on one project, a BA or a developer on another project, a change lead on another. You're doing a bit of everything, and so you end up becoming a bit of a generalist over time. Another thing is that you're actually usually advising and recommending solutions, especially on the shorter projects that are kind of 6 to 8 weeks. You're going in, you're doing some current state analysis, future state analysis, and you're providing a final state report that advises on some recommendations and maybe tries to upsell another piece of work. Even if you are on a long-term implementation, I've been on some myself, especially in the automation space, where you are actually implementing work on a long-term basis or on a managed service basis. Again, you're still doing some extra strategic work on the side to maybe upsell some other work or get more involved in that particular organization to see if there are other areas where you can deliver consulting engagements. And that's just the name of the game, and that's how things are in consulting. Now, the other reason that the problem exists is because of the actual language that you're trained to use at the Big Four. Led work streams, supported the partner, assisted, etc. The soft, passive language that showcases you as someone that didn't own the outcomes, but actually was maybe just someone that assisted rather than actually led. And it's just small tweaks here or there. It's obviously you're used to speaking a certain way, and you just need to reframe your language as it positions you as an owner and a driver of outcomes rather than someone passive. So now that we've spoken about what the problem is and why the problem actually occurs, how can we actually correct this problem? How can you position yourself as an authority? Well, the good news is exactly that, right? So it's a positioning problem and not a capability one. You want to lead conversations with an area that you know well and that you specialize in. At the Big Four, there's likely one area that you know well and maybe better than others, right? It might be harder to identify if you're earlier on in your career, but there'll likely be one thing specifically that people come to you for help with or put you forward for projects with. So in my case, after a long time at EY, I was known as the automation guy. People used to put me forward for automation engagements and also project management work as well. So those, I guess, were my kind of couple of areas. And so I was regularly put forward for roles in the space. For you, it might be something else. So the sooner that you identify what that is, again, if you're a bit more junior, it might be harder to do, but you can still absolutely start to pick up on that over time. The sooner that the easier it will be for you to position yourself correctly for industry roles as that person that specializes in that particular area. And so once you have identified the area that you do have specialty in or more knowledge than others in, you can absolutely lead conversations with that rather than just positioning yourself as another generalist consultant where the market's absolutely flooded. So again, just to summarize here, the way I would identify your particular skill that you've got specialized knowledges in what consulting engagements is my CV put forward for, what do people come for ask for my help with, and what am I most proud of as well. And I guess a combination of the three there will help you identify the skill set that you can lead conversations with industry hiring managers, and that will help position you as the right fit for that specific role that you're applying for. Now, the other thing I also want to touch in on what the cost of staying general actually is, because being general doesn't necessarily have to always be a bad thing. However, having said that, as you progress with your career, it does generally pay off to have one or two areas that people come to you for help with, and that you have a bit more specialized knowledge with. And that goes for both consulting and industry, right? I mean, if you're going to stay in consulting and go and stay on partner track, generally speaking, partners have a couple of areas that they own and that they know really well. They might know other things very well, but they'll have one or two areas that they have specific knowledge in, right? They kind of own that domain. So it absolutely pays to specialize and be highly skilled in one or two areas there, as it does in industry as well. The sooner that you can identify what specialized knowledge you have, the easier it will be to transition into a particular industry role and progress with your career that way, if that's what you feel the next step should be. So just to kind of give you guys an example here, a tangible example that you guys can leverage as well. So say you're applying for industry roles and you're updating your CV, and you're updating specifically the CV summary section at the top of your CV, that outline that hiring managers see first. A very generalist CV might position you as a seasoned management consultant with deep experience across the public sector and private sector. So quite broad, quite generic. Whereas a specialized CV for industry might say experienced transformation lead with 5+ years of experience across banking, insurance, and the government sectors that has delivered $200 million in operational savings over X number of years. So the way I tell people to frame it, the CV summary section for industry roles, is think of the actual role name or role title you're applying for in industry, call out the specific domain experience, the commercial outcomes, so like operational savings, cost savings, margin reduction, risk reduction, and then the scale or scope of that. So like 200 million, for example, in this case that I gave you. And it just shows that kind of four-pronged approach will make you seem highly specialized for industry roles. Again, the scope and the commercial outcome, it could be one headline that you're proud of delivering overall. You're obviously not going to list everything there, but one particular outcome that you've enjoyed working on your project, or that you're most proud of delivering over time. And it just positions you as an authority for those industry roles. So even if you're early on in your career, so you're even just like a consultant grade and still want to stay in consulting for a while longer, which is absolutely fantastic if you do, then the sooner that you start actually thinking about where you can specialize and where you want to go in the future, it will help your transition to industry at the right time when you want to make that move. If you guys would like a free roadmap that details how I personally transitioned to industry, you can head to my website. It's georgeoptimize.com. The link's also in my YouTube bio. You head over to the website, download it for free. It's a 6-page PDF that outlines the mechanism that I used to transition from my Big Four consulting role into a senior industry role in 5 weeks, and that you can apply to your personal situation to speed things up for you as well. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for the blueprint on leaving the Big Four consulting and transitioning to a senior industry role. I hope you guys found this video useful, and I'll see you in the next one.